this Hannah piece is interesting because you and I had a conversation towards the beginning of the season about we were talking about I was like who are players who could challenge Sarah Strong as best player in the country. That kind of evolved into a conversation specifically around Hannah about whether or not she could be the best guard in the country. And something that you brought up is one thing that could help her in both of those arguments is essentially what she will be asked to do on a nightly basis because of the talent that is around her, right? And we have seen Hannah have some insane games, 44 and 16. She just had a 13 steal game the other day. She just surpassed Niele Ivey last week, I think, or maybe a week and a half ago. Second most steals in program history. She's got 350 of them right now. The leader is Skylar Diggins, and at the rate that Hannah Hidalgo is going, she might become the program leader before she gets out of here for the season. So, but at the crux of it, though, the conversation becomes: should Hannah Hidalgo transfer from Notre Dame? So I'm going to give you the floor here to kind of unpack your thinking, and I'll pick up wherever you leave off. Are you could wait a second. Are you considering a Hannah Hidalgo transfer? Because you've got the Notre Dame shirt with the three and all that, and you're the biggest Hannah Hidalgo fan I know. So do you think, like, legitimately, do you think it's possible, or is just as like something in the back of your mind is like it may or may not happen depending on how the season's gone?
So I do know I am a fan of Hannah because I know Hannah personally. I've
Sure.
Jersey. We're here in Jersey. I've spent time with her. I know her family, love her parents, my guy Orlando and Mama Tamara. And I text Hannah pretty often. Like that's my girl. I know Hannah. That's we are legit friends.
Yep.
And what I'm about to say is not coming from any I haven't talked to anyone. I don't have any tips, any hints. I really don't have any intel or sense of where this is just purely off of my opinion, my projections, my thoughts about what could happen, what might be possible based on what I know about Hannah. Okay. So none of this is coming from anything other than just my own thoughts and opinions based on just me knowing Hannah, not knowing anything in particular about this. I do not think that Hannah is going to transfer from Notre Dame for her senior season because that's what we're looking at
Essentially.
is would she transfer for her last year, essentially because of how bad things are this year. They're unranked for the first time since before she even got there in 2021. They just slipped out of the top 25, really tough losses lately. We know that the roster just isn't up to snuff. We've seen a little bit out there on Twitter, a little some intel out there about they were supposed to land a couple of transfers that ended up at UConn who didn't end up at Notre Dame because of, I guess, some academic standards that they couldn't hold up to at Notre Dame or whatever. So that was a kind of piece of intel and context as to why Notre Dame's roster wasn't really looking up to snuff this season. Apparently, they had other players on the line that they lost out on. Okay. But have things gotten, I don't want to say so bad, but it is Hannah confident enough to finish her career at Notre Dame, regardless of what, if it's going to be another year like this? I'm sure they'll do their best to put together a much better team for next season, but there's no guarantees, right? Like, is she going to be? My understanding is that just on loyalty, I think Hannah is super loyal to Niele Ivey. I thought Olivia Miles was, and she got up out of there too. But I know that Hannah really has that relationship with Niele where I think she's totally loyal to her, maybe more so even than Notre Dame. I know there are some question marks around Niele Ivey and like her performance and things. So I don't know if that's going to come up as a thing of we haven't checked any comments tonight, Marcus. Once we fit, we haven't
Yeah.
seen even the comments tonight. I
Yeah.
want to see what people had to say about Flauget and Unrivaled and stuff. But if Niele Ivey, for some reason, is is let go or ends up leaving, I could see Hannah going with her. I could see that because of her loyalty to Niele. If that's a possibility for next season. If Niele and Notre Dame are parting ways, again, I don't really see that happening. Not really. But if there's a big shakeup like that and somehow Niele is out of there, I could maybe see Hannah following her wherever she goes. All that being said, again, my prediction would be Hannah's not going anywhere. Niele's not going anywhere. Hannah's going to finish her career at Notre Dame as a legend, break even more records, have even more success. If the door is opened for a potential transfer for Hannah Hidalgo in her senior season, if she and her team feel like that's what they want to do for her last year, to go out on with a bang, because one thing I do know about Hannah is that she's a winner and she wants to win at the highest level. The one team I would predict that I think would make a lot of sense, that will have a point guard graduating that is small and a defensive minded point guard who's really dynamic and capable, but she'll be out next season. A team that features one of Hannah Hidalgo's best friends, if you're paying attention to who she hangs out with during Team USA and on Instagram Live. If Hannah were to transfer from Notre Dame, I think she would go to the University of Texas and play with Madison Booker and win herself a national championship. And if Texas doesn't get it done this season, I would bet that Maddie, being her close friend, and if things looking the way they are at Notre Dame, I would bet that they're going to do their best to try to make that pitch and see if they can make that happen.
What are you trying to do to me?
Just giving you my thoughts, brother.
Oh my God. Okay. I actually would like to see Hannah Hidalgo and Maddie Booker on the same team, though. But just not in my conference. Not in my conference. Not in my conference. It's interesting. Wait. Okay, hold on. Wait a second. Hold on a second. So you're saying if Hannah transfers, you think she'd end up in Texas?
That would be my prediction. I have a couple other thoughts.
Even if Niele Ivey gets fired or gets let go or decides to leave, you think she would still go to Texas?
No. I think she would choose Niele over now, unless Niele is going to like New Hampshire or something, like you know what I mean. And that's where I think it'd be tough, because it's not like Niele's going to go to South Carolina or I don't know. Like I don't know where she would end up. I'm sure she'd end up at a good program, but I think it would depend on that. I think she would want to try to go with Niele wherever she goes, as long as it's appropriate for her.
Okay.
But if it's not, then I feel like Texas. I feel like Texas is the kind of destination that would interest her.
That's rare. I don't think I want to.
I'm curious. I mean, I'm curious what you think. I mean, do you think she should? What do you think based on what? And it's honestly, it's not even just this season. It's again, I mean, losing Liv, right? Like, I mean, this season, all in all, has been a regression for the program. She's got 1 year left, So, I mean, what do you think is like? What would you think is best for her with 1 year left?
I honestly do think it depends on kind of how the season ends. I'm being honest. I think this. I mean, I said when we talked about this, like at the beginning of the season, I talked about how this is a good opportunity for Hannah from the standpoint of just the situation that she's in, because of how, like, okay, her freshman year, she was there without Olivia Miles, right? Because Olivia Miles was hurt, but she still had Sonia Citron right there with her, right? So she wasn't like truly by herself, right? Olivia Miles comes back. They had a really strong start to the season. They were one of the better teams in the country for most of the season, had the big win against USC, right? I think they beat UConn again or something like that, or had a very tight loss to UConn, but I think they beat UConn. And it just kind of all unraveled at the end, right? And then Liv is like, all right, well, instead of going to the WNBA draft and instead of coming back, I'm going to go to TCU. And now this year hasn't been great, but it's not like I don't imagine that there were super high hopes this year in Notre Dame. Like, I don't think, I would like to think that Hannah and Niele and like the powers that be at Notre Dame knew that this season would not be what they had last season or even what they had Hannah's freshman season. But I do think like the climax of this season looks like it's about to go off the rails, where like they're not even like, it looks like they're not going to be even on the tier that they were these last couple years, which is at worst a really, really, really good team with good players, with a really good coach who can maybe surprise a couple of big teams if they play really well and just the matchups fall. Like that might not even be their reality this season. And I honestly just kind of think it depends on how the season unfolds. I think if they continue on this downward trajectory where things are just not going well and there's like not even a sliver of hope, yeah, I think Hannah's gone. I think Hannah's gone with or without Niele Ivey. Because to your point, Hannah wants to win. Hannah, I know you know this because you know Hannah, but the documentary that they did that Hannah was a part of, when it was like Hannah and I think Maddie and Juju or something like that.
Juju and Flauget.
Juju and Flauget, right? And she, like, one of the very first like solo confessionals she had, she was like, I love winning. And she was
more
like,
than I hate losing, right?
More than I hate losing,
yeah.
or something like that. And I'm like, oh, she's crazy. Okay. And then she did another thing before that where she had said one of her favorite things about playing basketball is like making her opponents uncomfortable. I was like, oh, like she's really crazy. Like she's a different level of crazy in like a good way. Like she wants to win. And I think despite the like her leaving Notre Dame won't undo her being a Notre Dame. Like she's already a program legend. You know what I mean? Like I won't undo that.
Sure.
And I think, I mean, we had her on the show and she spoke highly of Niele Ivey. Like I think given how tight their relationship seems to be, like you said, if Hannah at the end of the season walked into Niele Ivey's office and said, I am super thankful for your belief in me, for your trust in me, for the relationship that we fostered these last 3 years, but I want to go somewhere else. I actually don't think Niele would blame her if she decided to do that. I don't think so. Now, maybe I'm giving Niele Ivey a little bit too much benefit of the doubt, but I
mean, they have a relationship there.
I don't think Niele would blame Hannah if Hannah decided I want to go somewhere else.
She wouldn't. She's going to want the best for her because they have that relationship, but that doesn't mean she's not going to be devastated. And it might also lead to the end of her career. Like that would be devastating, bro. If she loses Hannah Hidalgo the year after she lost Olivia Miles, her job will be on the line. You understand that?
But
do you understand that?
Well, hold on. But if Hannah decided to transfer from Notre Dame, are we saying Niele Ivey lost Hannah Hidalgo?
She's the head coach, Marcus.
That doesn't mean she lost Hannah.
It doesn't mean that she was the reason she left, but she's the head coach. She lost Olivia.
I think if
you're the head coach and the player leaves, you lost them. No matter if they left because of you.
So you think Dawn lost Milesia?
Yeah.
Really? You don't think so that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the transfer matters.
I'm just saying on technicality, if you're the head coach and your player leave, you lost them. You didn't at some level, you didn't do enough to make them feel like they wanted to stay. Like you didn't push them out, but you lost them.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, I guess so. Then yeah, probably, her job would be on the line. But I think
like it's on her record. Bro.
It is. No, it would.
The AD doesn't care if you guys were in love. I just wanted the best for her. If Niele Ivey walks into the Notre Dame athletic director's office and they ask her about Hannah, why do we lose? Well, I wanted the best for her. I don't hold it against her. All the stuff you said, they don't care about that. You lost her. You're responsible for that.
Yeah, like I don't think I would view it that way, but I do understand what you're saying. Like I understand what you're saying. I do get the perspective.
The coach gets the blame, whether it's validated or not. It's on the coach. That's part of her record now if she loses her.
I feel like I like the idea of Texas, like for all you said, just because of her relationship with Maddie Booker. And like I do think, personal biases aside, I do think it would be great for Maddie even to go from playing with Rory Harmon to playing with Hannah Hidalgo.
God.
And that'd be beautiful. I just feel like if Hannah were to transfer,
I want to know what any other teams you might be thinking of.
That's what I was going to say. Like if Hannah were to transfer, I feel like Hannah would probably transfer somewhere similar situation to how Liv transferred. Like not a team that is very obviously a national championship contender.
Okay.
But still a team where she can go be her. Like I don't
be like a Tennessee.
Like a Tennessee. I would be interested. I'd be interested to see Hannah Hidalgo and Audi Crooks on the same team. I don't know.
Okay, let's get spicy.
I feel not brand wise, because like Iowa State obviously isn't Notre Dame, but
Sure.
tier wise over the past couple of years, I think tier wise they're kind of in the same weight class,
Ooh, let's
roughly.
get
I think.
spicy. That I like
I
that.
I would like to see Hannah, like if she were to transfer and she didn't go to Texas, I think Hannah and Audi Crooks would be really, really interesting.
Stay
I
in the
really
Midwest. I mean, that's
yeah,
stay
you
in
know
the
what I mean?
Midwest.
It's a similar area, you know what I mean? It's a
Wow.
similar
That's I like
it's
that
very
thinking.
interesting. It's
I like that thinking.
but the other part of it, to you said, is also like too, like, well, what if Niele Ivey gets let go? And then the conversation becomes, well, what type of teams are looking like would want a coach like Niele Ivey? Like you would have to be thinking about a team that is kind of similar to why Hannah would leave, a team that's on the cusp of winning a national championship potentially, who thinks they could bring in Niele Ivey and get them over the hump. Because you would have to think because you're not just going to get Niele Ivey. It's like the delusional NBA thing. Like we trade for Bron, we draft Bronny, we get LeBron. Like, except this is actually like you go hire Niele Ivey, you're probably going to get Hannah with you as well. Like I think
Maybe.
and there's
Again, it depends on
maybe
who you are.
it depends on
Depends,
who
you
you are,
know?
maybe. And I'm not like super well versed in like the types of teams whose coach is on the hot seat, obviously, but like
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
sure there are 4 to 5 teams in the country who think that they are maybe a Hannah Hidalgo away from winning a championship, and maybe a Hannah and a Niele Ivey away from winning a national championship, and maybe they let their coach go if they
Yeah.
really think that Niele Ivey is going to be out
Right.
the door in Notre Dame. Like we see it
And
happen all the time.
yeah, but I don't and I think I hear your point, because like if it's a package deal, I'm sure programs would
Sure.
consider. I don't know if there's enough programs that would that consider Neil Ivey that caliber of a coach. Like when you
Really?
say like take us to a national championship, did, has she won a national championship as a head coach yet?
No, but
But
Niele
so
Ivey
I
is
don't think like I
Niele
could see her
Ivey is
going to I could see her going to like a Michigan State or a program that's, you know, Power
no, bro.
5 but
No,
hasn't
I
made a
think
whole lot of noise, and she can take them from not making a lot of noise to being a contender in the conference. She hasn't proven to be a coach that takes you over the hump and become a national championship contender. That I don't think
I
that's
think
how she's viewed as a coach.
I think I think I want to make sure I say this correctly because I don't want to mess it up or insult anybody. But I think Niele Ivey is like we talked about Carl Lawson and how like we just like worried, like we felt. I mean, I said like Carl Lawson. I think just her reputation kind of puts her in conversations with coaches that she like her team isn't in, and I compared her to Brenda Freeze. I think I could be wrong. I could be the only person in America that thinks this way. I think Niele Ivey is in that tier of coaching. Like now, she's probably she's closer to Cara Lawson than she is to Brenda Freeze. I do acknowledge that, obviously, because Brenda Freeze has won a national championship. That I do understand, but I don't think because it's not because the team's not saying Niele is going to be the one that gets us to a national championship. The team is saying Hannah's going to get us to a national championship, and Niele can be and Niele is going to be the coach that comes with her. I think
Yeah.
it's I think that's the view.
Yeah.
The risk of that, obviously, though, is that you know you're getting Hannah for 1 year. So like committing to Niele
There
long
you go.
term
There you
for
go.
1 year of Hannah
Not
is
exactly
risky.
realistic.
So
Not yeah.
it would require number one the utmost confidence that you get the both of them and you win a championship that season,
Yeah.
and also you can continue to build the program beyond that
You
year.
want Niele to be your head coach even
You
beyond
want her
Hannah.
to be your head coach moving
Yeah.
forward, whether or not you do win that national championship
Right.
in that 1 year rental of Hannah. I think
Correct.
that so like to
Correct.
that point, I do understand your point. Like maybe it is going to be like a team like a Michigan State or you know a team that just was good and hasn't been lately, or a team that's kind of been
Yeah.
meddling in the middle and kind of want to get them up to this
Yeah.
next
Like
level
what if
in their
NC
conference.
State, you know, what if NC State wants to starts new after Westmore and get
That would
some
be
younger, right?
yeah.
Something different, like, you know, and Neil, you know, like that's the kind of you
Maybe it's
know,
like a Kenny Brooks type situation, like how he leaves Virginia Tech, he's going to Kentucky, he's bringing players with him to kind of jumpstart the program and kind of take
mhm,
them to that
mhm.
next level. Like,
And
but
man,
just
even as I say NC State, Hannah and Zoe Brooks, Jersey girls, played against each other in high school. That could be a cool link up. I think there would only be a few programs that are worthy of Hannah. That like if we're talking about this Niele and Hannah potential package deal. There's only I don't know how many programs that are like worthy of Hannah, like a Texas, that are also, either don't have their head coach that have a head coaching vacancy, or that would be like, yeah, we'll fire our head coach just to get Niele Ivey, just to get Hannah. Like, I don't know if it's that deep.
There is a program in the country won't fire their head coach. Head coach is too good. Head coach is top 5, top 7 in the country. Won't fire the head coach. But there is a program in the country that could greatly use the services of Hannah Hidalgo, despite all the lovely things I have said about their young freshman point guard. I think I would like to see Maryland pick up the phone and call Hannah Hidalgo.
Well, you know what? They've been very active in the transfer portal. I think at the very least they would, if Hannah, listen, if the news,
the entire country,
Hannah Hidalgo's in the transfer portal,
obviously the entire country would call for Hannah. But
Mike Brown will be calling for Hannah Hidalgo. I mean, God, if that ticker comes across the team, Hannah Hidalgo's in the transfer portal. Yeah. Everybody in the mom is going to be calling.
ADs and coaches would get fired if the program found out that they at least didn't.
They gotta try to get on the phone. They got to.
The lovely Hidalgo family. I just, I think, but I do get your point. Like it does. You are asking a lot. You are asking a lot of a program to go after Hannah if the perception is it's Hannah and Niele together. Like if it's just Hannah, that certainly cuts the likelihood of teams, I think, almost down to like 2 or 3. But if it's the both of them, it opens it up a bit. But you're asking for a lot of long-term commitment for a program and again, I'm not saying this to say that Niele Ivey is a bad coach, just saying Hannah Hidalgo is one of the best players in the country. Yeah. And if they're both available, your best chance of getting Hannah would be to also hire her as your head coach. You have to kind of figure out a way to balance it too.
I don't see that fully as the case. Like I know
if you're competing, if you think Texas is the most likely option, we're competing with Texas. Yeah, I should probably bring her head coach with me. That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, if you like Vic Schaefer, you have no reason to think that you have to like compromise your current head coach that you like just to have a chance to get Hannah. Like, I don't think like we're talking about this Niele Hannah package deal as one of several possibilities. And I think it's probably the least likely, but
I'm just saying in that likelihood, I think
unless they are making it known that we are a package, you know what I mean? Like it would have to be very deliberate.
I do get that. I was just saying more so from the perspective of, let's say Texas is the place, like that is the place that makes the most sense for all the reasons you mentioned. They're not firing Vic Schaefer for Niele Ivey, right? So
so just go after Hannah.
What I'm saying is exactly. So, but what I'm saying is, if you're a program that does not have a player like Maddie Booker or a last couple of years like Texas, where like you are clearly have been one of the best teams in the country for as long as Hannah has existed in college, right? And I think their perception would be our best shot at getting and stealing her away from a team like Texas would be to also hire Niele Ivey to be our head coach, because we know that they have a strong collective. That's more so what I was getting.
I got you. Yeah. And my thing has been like, if it's a team, and if it's a team like Michigan State, it's off the table because Hannah's not going to Michigan State. That was my point, is that it's more likely that they have to separate because Niele Ivey's market is a lot different than Hannah's market. And there's probably
any overlap.
I said there's probably only a few that are worthy of Hannah, that qualified to pick up Hannah Hidalgo, and that would also be in line to be like, we'll hire Niele. We want Niele
as an improvement of what we have. I got you. It would have to be like, we are worthy of Hannah existing and donning our colors, but we also feel that that Niele Ivey would be a better head coach than who we have currently. I got you.
It's probably a very small lid where that could even be possible. It's going to be interesting, bro. If it's going to be, I think this is going to be really interesting because I think Hannah and Niele might end up having conversations. Maybe, again, I don't think they're going anywhere. I started my take by saying
I don't either.
Prediction is that they both stay at Notre Dame for the foreseeable future. But if again, this season it's starting to get rocky. We're starting to, they're starting to reveal who they really are, and we knew they were shorthanded. We knew we didn't have much expectations, but man, if it gets worse, if it's that bad, and there's not like hope for next season based on recruiting, right? You know what I mean? Like if they're not feeling confident that things can turn around next season, there may need to be, they may need to have some tough conversations, Niele and Hannah, about like, again, do they want to package together? Does Niele want to say to her, hey, like, I'm kind of ready to move on. I got a couple people I've talked to, a couple ADs who are saying they'd be, like, I don't know, man, they could be out there. NC State, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe just because I'm not crazy about Wes Moore, but I'm like that program came to mind. I don't know. It could be very interesting, depending on how things go. Like you said, depending on how this season
depending
goes.
on how the rest of the season goes. Yeah. I mean, let's hit the comments real quick before we out here. Let's see. Question from Jeremy: what has Niele Ivey done to prevent Notre Dame from taking the next step? As the UConn fan in me, I don't care to support. I don't care, but support the
Right.
black woman coach. What are the
Right.
flaws of her? Do you think there are any glaring flaws for her that come to mind for her as a coach?
So I've brought up before how I think there have been some conversations out there about her X's and O's, and there's been some critique about what she can really do with her X's and O's. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying she's bad. I don't. I mean, I know what I've seen and haven't seen. I mean,
Sure.
their stuff doesn't blow me out of the water. Not that it has to, but I know that's one thing that has come up. And I mean, in terms of flaws, I mean, just generally, I think she's been to the Sweet 16 like 4 of the past 5 years, hasn't been past the Sweet 16. So I don't know if she's building up somewhat of a resume of kind of can't get over the hump. I think she's still early and young in her head coaching
Yeah.
career. So
Sure.
again, as a Notre Dame legend herself, I think they'll give her runway. I think I think she's totally safe, but I do think there have been some question marks about what she can really do.
Brian says Niele Ivey ain't getting fired with that recruiting class coming in. Notre Dame fires her. Those recruits.
Yeah, I haven't seen the recruiting class yet for 2026. I don't know much about it yet.
I just looked it up. They've got JC Abbey is a 5-star recruit from Texas. She's a wing. Jenica Lewis is a 4-star guard. Isabel Ragone is a 4-star wing. Amari Biles, 4-star forward. Isabella Sangha, I think is how you say her name, 4-star forward. So it looks like they have, but they're not official recruits. Those are 5 verbal recruits that are coming to Notre Dame next year.
And
I haven't heard
we
much.
know they'll all be freshmen. So unless one or two of them are absolutely special, right? Like this is Hannah's senior year. You're talking about her meshing with some new freshmen coming in. I mean, again, there's no guarantee unless one of these players is like, let me know in the comment. Let me know if you know about any of this recruiting class. Don't just tell me what it's ranked or what, unless you know who these players are and what they can do. I got to see it. I got to see it first. And what I said to you before about if Hannah decides she wants to transfer, I don't think Niele would get fired right away. After next season, they probably let her go because next season, whatever the recruiting class is, next season will be probably a dud, right? Like, and if it is, they'd again, after losing Liv, if she were to lose Hannah, they're not right. Like it would just feel like a regression where I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but I would predict that her job might be on the line at that point.